Yes, Today we are here and we're reading for Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 12, verse number 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nagari Ramadanama. Nagari Ramadanama. Grita Kumbha Samapuma. Grita Kumbha Samapuma. Sutamapira Hojayat. Sutamapira Hojayat. Anyada Yavat Athakrit. Anyada Yavat Athakrit. Anyone would like to chant the verse? Come
Nandvagni Brahmada Nama Prita
on.
Kumbha Samapumam Sutam Api Raho Yayad Anadha Yavad Artakrit.
Thank you. Okay, word by word. Nano, certainly. Agni, the fire. Ramadan, the woman, one who bewilders the mind of man. Nama, the very name. Krita Kumbha, a pot of butter. Sama, like. Puma, a man. Sultan, a pig. Even one's daughter. Raha, in secret place. Jahyat, one must not associate with. Anyadam, with other women also. Yavad, as much as. Al-Hagrid, required. Translation. Woman is compared to fire, and a man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore, a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. If a butter pot and fire are kept together, the butter within the pot will certainly melt. Woman is compared to fire, and man is compared to a butter pot. However advanced one may be in restraining the senses, it is almost impossible for a man to keep himself controlled in the presence of a woman. Even if she is his own daughter, mother, or sister. Indeed, his mind is agitated even if one is in the pronounced audible flight. Therefore, Vedic civilization carefully restricts mingling between man and woman. If one cannot understand the basic principle of restraining association between man and woman, he is to be considered an animal. That is the purport of this verse. Translation again. Woman is compared to fire, and man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore, a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhutale Shivata Vedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Dev Guruvani Chadni Nirvishesh Shanyavani Pujari I just played see who is friend. I'm just looking and names. I don't have honor to see your face, but at least I see your names here. Thank you for tuning in. Yes. First impression of this verse seems to be powerful problem. It's a in all the universe. We need to avoid problems in our spiritual life. What is the real problem? Is the our mind. In natural construction, Srimad Bhagavatam explains that those who can control the urge of tongue, the urge of belly, the urge of genitals, the urge to speak, those kind of people can accept disciples all over the world. So the problem is not in the objects of the senses, but the problem that we can't control our senses. That actually our senses controlling us. And the main sense out of all its mind. And the problem is uncontrolled mind and our tendency to live selfish life. We can act to gratify our senses. And even if we're trying to stop that, we still might have those desires to use everything to gratify our own senses, to get selfish so-called pleasure. Because unfortunately we lost our taste for higher pleasure of selfless service to the Lord. And then there is a root. There is no specific desire. I want this or that. I want beautiful wife or nice children or nice husband. The deep root desire for enjoying separately from Krishna. This is spirit of desire. This is root of all other desires. And until we uprooted this spirit of separated enjoyment, our false belief, it's not true, but we believe that we might find somehow other nice situation separated from Krishna. If you are trying to practice bhakti, then nothing wrong to restrict situations in our life where our mind is disturbed. Whether our mind is disturbed by presence of the woman or man or somebody else or something else. In our spiritual life, it's very important to plan two things. How to get those circumstances which are favorable to developing our Krishna consciousness, and how to avoid and diminish by all means those things which are unfavorable. In a fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Bhagavatam speaks about a true Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada actually uses this Krishna consciousness. He translates Sanskrit, specific Sanskrit term, Krishna Parayana. Krishna Parayana, and Srila Prabhupada translates this word as Krishna consciousness. So Parayana means moving forward. So what is Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness means that we are moving forward towards Krishna. So whatever moves us forward towards Krishna, make us closer to Krishna and Krishna's devotees, this is favorable. And whatever moves us back, this is unfavorable. And we need to try to avoid it as much as possible. For that, we need to be conscious of our activities and our environment. We need to actively plan and create our environment in such a way that our life is easier, but not life is easier in terms of sense enjoyment and how comfortable I sit and eat and blah blah, but make it easier for ourselves to become Krishna consciousness. Whatever decisions in life we make, we might ask ourselves, what is the best? For example, if I choose what kind of work I need to do, then I need to ask not simply the question where I get more money, but how specific work and how specific environment impacted my consciousness and my ability to have quality time to chant Hare Krishna, to chant Hare Krishna, to read books. So our goal to situate ourselves in such a way that our mind is not disturbed. So if we are disturbed in the presence of women, then we shouldn't definitely stay in the presence of women. If our mind is disturbed in other places and it distracts us, we should avoid such association, whether it's men or women. General principle that our mind is very flickering and attracted to material things. So we need to think how create spiritual environment at home, at workplace, and how to associate with devotees in a quality way in the Krishna consciousness. So inspire each other to move forward towards Krishna. And I forgot what I want to say. Also, Srila Prabhupada explains this first verse and purport to first verse of Nectar of Instruction that people need to be trained. Just let me read actually how exactly he's saying. He's right. He's saying, Srila Prabhupada is saying, a human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodical life is described as tapasya. So, in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam also, Srila Prabhupada explained that human life is meant for tapa, and also the whole universe starts from tapa because Lord Brahma was meditating for very prolonged time, and then he heard from the Lord the instruction tapa, only one word, the essence. So human life is meant for tapasya. It means consciously and voluntarily do what is necessary for spiritual advancement, regardless if my senses and mind like it or not. I just do what is necessary, what I have to do, because I have a goal, prayojana, in my life, and whatever decisions I make in life, whatever situations I can choose, I try to compare it with my goal. Therefore, it's very important to listen Srimad Bhagavatam because Srimad Bhagavatam reminds us about our goal in life and gives us strength to make optimal choices daily. Because life consists not only from huge decisions, but also so-called little decisions. What time I'm going to bed, what time I'm getting up, mm, how I'm absorbed in Java today, not in January. In January, my job is okay. No, how my job was exactly today. And not only Java, but how about this round of Java? Was it good? And not only that, but how about this Mahamantra which I'm chanting right now? Is it good? Do I pay attention what I'm pronouncing? Because without um, paying attention to the holy name, nothing else will actually help us. Even we try to avoid um, association with this and that, but if you do not pay real attention to daily chanting, then nothing else will produce actual result. But at the same time, other things they are meant to help to chant us. It's kind of a how about fence which provides like a garden. We have a fence around the garden. So our garden is our sadhana, and around the sadhana we create a fence of those rules and regulations, which not for the sake of its own, but for the sake we can chant peacefully, for the sake of our peaceful mind. So I would like to ask you if there are any questions, protests, corrections, or reflections so far. Hare Krishna. Okay. There is no any thoughts. Any thoughts? I see you maybe online or something in the chat. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, since no questions, and I think that's all what I wanted to share with you today.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Leela Madhurya, thank you so much for the
Yes.
class.
Thank you.
Yeah, during the recharge retreat, we had a circle of gratitude moment toward the end. And one of the questions there was, what is one thing that you will take away from this retreat into, into your everyday lives when this retreat is concluded? And several people, the most common thing that was said was reflecting on when Gurudev emphasized safe space, safe time. Sacred space, sacred time. In terms of, what you're talking about right now with chanting and just our practice. So my question is, have you had any I guess practical tips and ways to stay consistent with sacred space, sacred time, even in the midst of traveling. I know you and Venu Midoriya have just done some, quite frequent traveling. I know many of us devotees do traveling either by plane or by car. But just switching spaces, have you observed any, practical tips on how to maintain that sacred space, sacred time?
I think first of all, it's very important to have this desire, not just theoretically agree, oh yes, I understand this is important. Yes. And catch your mind when it says it's just now, it's just only one day when I'm traveling, but tomorrow I will chant nice rounds. Actually, it doesn't work like this because mind has daily excuses. Why exactly today? There is a reason why I can't. Maybe I'm not feeling well. Maybe I just need to resolve extremely important things, and just now it's life-saving if I resolve it and then I can chant. Just as for traveling, I definitely don't like night traveling because then you're sleepy whole day, you can't chant nicely. So just plan your trip in such a way so you can chant before you're going on the plane and plan your packing before. So it's all about planning again. So when you pack and what time you pack, what time is for your chanting. But the essence is that you have this desire. Because when you have this as a priority, then Krishna will give you intelligence how actually do that. And even if, for example, place is not so sacred, still you will be able to concentrate because you want it. You really you have this desire in your heart to actually hear the holy name. I was also reflecting on this statement by Guru Maharaj, his Holiness Bhagavatam Swami, about sacred place and um, sacred time. For example, the best time is the morning time. But what if I'm doing morning services? Maybe milking cows, maybe dressing the deities, or cooking breakfast for all the devotees. So many morning services required. Then what? I missed the sacred time. Actually, no, you just make it. You just make a sacred time. Sacred time means time dedicated towards chanting. Otherwise, oh no, I miss sacred time now. Okay, I'm chanting just somehow. No, sacred means nobody disturb your association with Krishna. Like if somebody wants to talk to you about something privately and secretly, then you say, okay, I'm just busy now, but we will meet from this time and I have 2 hours of quality time to you to listen and discuss with you. And while doing this, can you imagine you just pick out your phone and say, oh, just wait a little bit. It's very urgent. It's very urgent. I just will check. So your friend probably wouldn't be so happy. But vice versa, if you give these 2 hours and your phone is ringing somewhere on the background, but you just don't pick it up. You just talk to this person, and this person sees, oh, actually, he's really want to connect with me. He really wants to listen to me. He really wants to help me. This is very much appreciated. So we can create, if by some circumstances we are not able to use best hours, which is the morning. Definitely morning is the best, and it's a great advancement to chant in the morning, because in the morning we can just experience. I'm sure that everyone has this experience that in the morning our mind is more peaceful. That's naturally. We don't need to make extra effort to pacify our mind. It's just peaceful, and we use this advantage to chant. But if because of service we can't do that, then Krishna sees our situation, that actually we are not wasting the time, we are not just sleeping. We are doing service to Krishna. Krishna is a person, and he will help us even during other time to concentrate our mind if we have sincere desire. So we create this sacred time in terms of it's time only for you, Krishna, only for holy name. Does it answer? Does it help a little bit at least? Krishna's
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Yeah, my two major takeaways and things that are resonating from what you said is the first one was expect Maya to give excuses. I think that's a nice foundational principle that we expect that from our own daily lives, that no matter what comes up, many excuses can stop us from having that sacred space and sacred time. And then the second thing that is resonating is just treating our japa like an like we would normally do, like an emergency phone call or an emergency meeting or a meeting with somebody else. And I feel like when we don't give it that same priority and significance, it's very easy to fall by the wayside and not personalize the experience and the time with Krishna. So, yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Krishna Prabhu. Anyone else would like to share thoughts, reflections, anything?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Leela, thank you for your class. It's nice to hear from you after so long.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
This is a wonderful subject matter. Our sadhana, how to optimize the benefit of our sadhana. I have been through a lot of things over the years. I've had to deal with all kinds of challenges in the course of trying to get my rounds done in all different circumstances. And one thing I would certainly concur with is that the morning is absolutely the best time and really, really important to take advantage of. And what I found is that even when there are lots of other things going on and all kinds of other obligations, somehow or other, to keep the regulation of rising very early is just a tremendous help. Sometimes there are services early in the morning, or there were times when I had to go to work early in the morning. Sometimes my shift began at 4 a.m. Or traveling. I did a lot of traveling as a brahmachari. But avowedly rising very early, no matter what the circumstances are, made it easy to get my rounds done nicely. In the early days, Srila Prabhupada did not allow us to travel by, in India at least. he insisted that we go by train, second class or third class, no first class. That was not allowed. And taxis were not allowed. We didn't travel by car in India, and we didn't take domestic flights either. Srila Prabhupada considered these to be an extravagant waste of money. So we had to travel by train, and you know, sometimes the train ride was several days, and you know, kind of austere. But rising early made it possible to get nice sadhana done while everyone else on the train was sleeping. There would be no disturbances because the devotees would just be the only ones awake, so we could chant our japa without any disturbance, quiet, peaceful, and you know, nothing going on. And plane flights also, international flights to and from India, sometimes 12-hour flight or longer, and the devotees would keep their regulation and rise very early. So everyone on the plane would be asleep, but the devotees would get up and chant their rounds without disturbance. It was very nice. Or sometimes, actually, there were instances when we had rip-roaring Mangala Arti kirtans on planes, while some people were trying to sleep. But anyway, morning just works really, really well. As far as sacred places, sometimes you have to be creative. Try to find a place that's a little bit private. You know, if you're outside your normal environment or you know, usual habits, traveling or something, what can you do? You know, sometimes maybe it's possible to take a walk and find a you know, a quiet place. Or um, I can remember times when I had no choice but to chant while I was driving, and and I don't recommend that for anybody. Nobody should do that as far as possible. But I had no choice for a period of time, and it was a long enough period of time that my car became transformed into a sacred place. So that anytime I sat in the driver's seat and touched the steering wheel, I immediately felt a wave of transcendence overcome me, and a strong desire to chant. When I touched the steering wheel, it felt the same as picking up my japa mala. Immediately, I was you know, compelled to hear and chant. But you know, Krishna can help you in various ways sometimes when the circumstances are extenuating. But I don't recommend that. Um, you know, Srila Prabhupada also told us never to drive at night. He actually forbid the devotees to drive at night because there were many accidents. Devotees were losing their lives in car accidents, falling asleep, you know, driving late at night. Getting the rounds done, very, very important. Sometimes we get into terrible ruts. Yesterday, um, I can't recall her name. There was Mataji giving class. She mentioned the fact that as a young mother, it's exceedingly challenging to get rounds done when you have a young child. Um, you can't maintain regulation. You're up at all hours of the night, having to deal with a crying child. Very, very difficult, and not an isolated condition. Mothers in general, for as long as I've been a devotee, this has been going on, that mothers have an exceedingly difficult time trying to get their rounds done. And more often than not, they are unable to complete their rounds. And the greatest danger is that it becomes routine. It goes on for some period of time, months or years, caring for a child, unable to get rounds done, and then it just becomes normalized, so that a woman ceases even trying to get 16 rounds done because it's a foregone conclusion that she's not going to be able to do it. So, why even try? You just, do what you can and be satisfied with that. And so, the failure becomes normalized, and then it becomes acceptable and routine, and then very, very hard to try to reestablish a proper standard. Very hard to reestablish. So uh, don't want that to happen. We got
Yes, it's
to
difficult
make our
to.
best effort regardless of the circumstances, um, and remind ourselves of the importance and not allow failure to become normalized. It can happen in all different kinds of ways. Sometimes people working, also devotees. I'm speaking of that. That um, failure to complete rounds becomes normalized because of the heavy demands of work and so on. I once, when I was working extremely long hours, 6 to 7 days a week. 16 hours a day, sometimes 18 hours a day, with a 3.5 hour commute. So there's very little time for anything. And I was working more than one job. So I got maybe only at 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours of sleep before I had to go back to work. So it can be very difficult sometimes. Material nature can throw all kinds of whammies at you. Somehow or other, we have to remain determined. Determination, by the way, is we're now discussing brahmacharya in this particular chapter, and brahmacharya is how one acquires determination. Indulgence, excessive indulgence in sex life outside the parameters of what is permissible, uh, destroys one's determination, among other things. And while I'm on the subject of brahmacharya, this purport brought a bunch of things to my mind. Um, Srila Prabhupada um, actually stated that, where is it? He says, it is impossible for a man to keep himself controlled in the presence of a woman, even if she is his own daughter, mother, or sister. That's an extremely powerful statement. There was a time in ISKCON when devotees um, uh, were predominantly brahmacharis and brahmachaриnis. There were very few householders, and everyone was trained to conduct themselves properly according to the principles of brahmacharya. Sometimes amongst the men, particularly, there was a tendency um, to become a little fanatical in a way that was harmful. Sometimes women were disrespected, um, and that was very bad. Um, but then, in response to that, there was a swing to the other end of the pendulum. Not that devotees started intermingling excessively exactly, but there were women who became very critical of the brahmacharis and sannyasis, sometimes boldly declaring that they hate anything saffron. And criticizing brahmacharis who were trying to follow this instruction, making comments such as, "Oh, Prabhu, you should just grow up, just grow up." But Srila Prabhupada's position was that there is no question of growing up. The association between men and women is always a problem. Lord Chaitanya himself said that he himself is disturbed even by the form of a wooden doll, a female wooden doll. He said that the only person who can remain undisturbed is, oh, Krishna, Ramananda Roy. So it's a serious problem. It's not something that it's not a question of just being mature. There is a real need to organize one's lifestyle and activities to minimize unnecessary interaction between the men and the women. Srila Prabhupada enforced this himself very, very strongly. I witnessed this from time to time. Srila Prabhupada would chastise devotees if there was any question of unnecessary intermingling, and a chastisement from Srila Prabhupada, especially about something like this, was very severe. Grown men were reduced to tears. So anyway, important issue. So gradually the standard changed. Rather than devotees very strictly avoiding intermingling between the men and women, then gradually devotees began to feel uncomfortable if they avoided intermingling. They would be subject to criticism, and so things became a little more relaxed. There was more intermingling in between the men and the women. And what was the result? The result was that many devotees began to fall down. Women were getting pregnant outside of their marriages, or unmarried women were getting pregnant. All kinds of problems. The instruction is very important. It's very serious. The material nature is extremely powerful, very, very dangerous. We have to take it seriously. No one is immune to the influence of the material nature. Maya is extremely powerful. Anyone can be victimized. And so there are instructions that we should behave in a particular way to minimize the chances of being victimized. Anyway,
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you again for your
If
class. Hare
you
Krishna.
mind, we have still a few minutes. It's reminded that I wanted also to underline one principle is devotee care. And devotee care, it means that we behave in such a way that we becoming Krishna Parayana, we are moving forward to Krishna, but also we are helping others to become Krishna Parayana or moving forward to Krishna. It means that we, in our behavior, we need to basically take care of other devotees around, other people around, like giving space to each other, even physically giving space. Like, let's say, I want to use Gita kitchen, and then Brahmachari is coming and he needs to use Gita kitchen. So someone of us need to leave Gita kitchen because they both in one small room. So, and it's not necessary, even I came first to use and do something, then I have to say, okay, no, you need to leave. No, I just need to consider that I'm taking care of other person. So I can leave and give space. So rules and regulations, they are necessary. At the same time, necessary conscious application of those rules and regulations, conscious and well-wishing application. Like in previous text 6, Srimad Bhagavatam explains that brahmachari should be quite well-behaved and gentle. So this part sometimes is kind of not stressed enough, because we need to be very, very respectful to each other. And of course, my life is very limited, especially in Krishna consciousness, only over 15 years only. But my little observation that those brahmacharis who respect women, they stay brahmacharis. Those who offend women, they just full of lust and they just try to cover it, and sooner or later they fall down. That's all. I still remember I had a situation with my husband and we went for one retreat for people who were doing counseling services. 3 days retreat, and we had a train and we have to rush back, and then prasadam was not ready yet, and my husband had to go have conversation with a senior devotee. So he requested me to find out something about prasadam for traveling. I came, but it was a new place for me, and I didn't know what to do. And one brahmachari approached me, and he just packed all the prasadam in a very caring way and just handed it to me. He was busy with his own services, but still he found the time to go to the kitchen, to find out all the boxes and everything, pack it very nicely, and give it to me. And he's still brahmachari after many, many years. He doesn't have any problem to serve lady. He really treated me as if I'm his mother, just in a very respectful and very caring way. And it's just one example. There are other examples. We need to know our own nature. We need to know what we can do and what we can't do. And yes, it's very important not to stay in one closed room with open sex. It's just nature of human life. We need to be careful. Because even sannyasis, they fall down. And the reason quite often is a woman, but not the woman itself or herself. The reason always is our mind, which is full of desires and easily provoked. We need to work first of all with our mind and create a fence protecting our mind from unnecessary disturbances. Whether we are man or woman, we need to see what are our weak places in our character, in our sadhana, in our dealings, what weak places, what can trigger our mind. And we need to be very conscious and try to avoid those situations, definitely. And Srimad Bhagavatam helping us, explaining and showing us where our mind is weak. And man's mind is weak in the presence of a woman. So, therefore, unnecessary, Srila Prabhupada translated it as one should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. But actually, I would say that we genuinely need to associate with each other only for important businesses. Because, for example, Krishna Katha is a very important business. And this is the best how we can associate with each other. Generally, Prajalpa is unfavorable. So we need to be conscious how we spend time with each other, how respectful we are with each other, and not only sometimes we have this tendency we just choose one rule. I have to do this, and then I disregard other rules. Like, okay, the rule is I don't need to talk with women, but what about the rule that I should be respectful and treat the woman as a mother, at least? So, greeting. Thank you very much. If you have any corrections or projects, you can send me a direct message on my phone. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Datta ki jai.
Jaya Lalita, Shaka Lalita, Shaka Srimad. Jaya Lalita, Shaka Lalita, Shaka Srimad. Jaya Nanda Gora, Nanda, Nanda Gora. Jaya Nanda Gora, Nanda, Nanda Gora. Jaya Nanda Gora, Nanda, Nanda Gora. Jaya Nanda Prabhupada, 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 Jaya 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya, 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 Sharanapapa Kevala Makati Sama Bando is Vishnu Krishna Janam. Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Thank you, Prabhu.
His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. So to Krishna. Vrindavan, my brother, now Ramani, Shri Prabhupada Ki Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord.